Blackout!
Hey, this is Chance Wilson, a reporter for Blackout Sports.
What's going on, y'all? It's Carolina's favorite fat boy, DJ Danny Ocean. 101.9 Kiss FM, URL TV.tv, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's the homie Los from the Get Your Bars On podcast, the Narrative God, and also from Pushing Narrative.
Yo, peace and blessings as always to the people. It's Adrian from Suplex Dinner Club.
What's up, everybody? It's Frank Carter here from Enforcers Pro Wrestling, Enforcers BJJ, and Dirt Sheet Radio.
What's the deal, everybody? I'm DeMarjay Morris from MLBBro.com.
What's up, boy? This your boy Gerard, Conversations at the Shoppy.
Hey, this is John Escudero from Dirt Sheet Radio.
What's up, man? This your boy Mr. M from Conversations at the Shop.
Hey, this is CJ Carter from the Dirt Sheet Radio Rewind Shows.
What is up? This is Nick LaRocco here representing Dirt Sheet Radio.
Hey, friends, it's the Red Ruben.
You know when I need my sports updates, I gotta tune in to the bro, Malik.
You know we watching Blackout Sports for all your hottest, latest sports updates, man.
And when you need your sports update, you know where to go because you already here.
When I'm not acting like a mark on the internet or walking my dog in the rain, I'm watching Blackout Sports.
Shout out to bro Malik, man.
Get with the times. Your favorite sportscaster, Matthew Malik Wilson.
And you already know we're rocking with Blackout Sports with Malik. Shout out to him. Shout out to the Pod family. And as always, go Dogs.
And now you are watching Blackout Sports.
Blackout Sports, what's poppin', man? Tune in.
And you're watching Blackout Sports.
You tuned in to my man Malik Wilson right here on Blackout Sports.
And you're watching Blackout Sports.
And you are watching Blackout Sports.
Y'all go check it out.
Tap in with your boy.
And you're watching Blackout Sports.
And right now you are tuned in to Blackout Sports.
You're watching Blackout Sports.
Blackout!
Okay. Are we live? What's good, everybody? It's your boy Matthew Wilson, your future favorite sportscaster. And if I'm not, don't worry about it. Give me a little time. I will be. Today, we have a great show today. Got a little GOAT talk. LeBron James, there was kind of rumors that he was looking to hang it up. Turns out it's not true. So, got my boy Gino Smith here with me to talk about GOATs and what it means. He got some interesting perspectives, man. Me and him been going back and forth about this for about, a couple months now. So I had to bring him here so we could do it in front of y'all. Gino,
what's going on?
How you doing?
I feel great. Thank you for having me. You gave me such an intro. I really appreciate that.
No doubt, really, man. You know I gotta look out for my boy, man. I gotta look out for my boy.
So let's get straight to it. You know what I mean? You know me. I don't like fat on the steak. Let's just get straight to it. Straight to it.
All right, but before we start though, make sure you like, comment, because we're gonna read your comments on here. So if you got something to say, make sure you join the conversation. And most of all, help us pay some bills, man. Go ahead and subscribe. Gino, go ahead, man. Get your stuff off. So you see the topic there. What makes the GOAT? What's up?
All right. So first off, we gotta be clear. There's certain criteria, right? And it's always the first one, and I think the most important one is you play who's in front of you, right? So I can't say like this guy isn't as good because of a certain level of competition he played, right? And it's recognizing like, hey, like you can't necessarily call someone the greatest player of all time without looking at all aspects of what it means to be a player, what it means to be a team player, and more so, what does it mean to lead your team or be a part of that team that won well, right? So, for example, championship rings, while it doesn't matter, but it matters when it comes to the GOAT talk, but not so much as far as your success rate, but as far as your level of entry into that conversation.
Agreed. Winning championships is definitely on my list. It's a big thing, but I don't think it's the determining factor. No.
Right. Because there's too many factors in what it takes to win a championship. For example, what would have happened if James Worthy didn't get injured? You know what I mean? What would have happened if Isaiah Thomas had a full healthy roster with him when he was going for his three-peat?
Mm-hmm.
Jordan's team was extremely well built, and we learned that when he left, and they only lost one more game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's that type of organizational strength that not too many players get to benefit from.
So what would so how would you like wrap that up and categorize that? Because winning's one of them. So what would the second one be?
I think the second one would have to be, it has to be leadership, right? Where it's
leadership,
like you as an individual player, not so much like, oh, I'm taking over the game and scoring. It's I'm taking over the game and facilitating the scoring, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one said, like, I'll be real, if you score 10 points and have 20 assists, I don't give a the other guy can score 25 points. That 10 assists means I got 20 points. I led to my play directly led to someone getting 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that level of, that's the type of player that you can attain to be, because the ultimate goal is to get the ball through the rim. Whether it's directly through your hands or through someone else's, the goal is to be a productive player on the court.
Okay, so that's what your definition of leadership would be, as far as being a GOAT, to be the one to produce assists, to be the main guy, basically.
Right.
You produce assists, you get the rebounds. You're the main cog of the reason why that team is successful, or the reason why whatever you were a part of, team, individual success was. I got you. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I think there's a certain level of drive and desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you can't really quantify some, like a lot of these aspects. A lot of these are eye test and not so much just the stat sheet test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of going to bleed into another conversation, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but this is kind of going into the difference between being a superstar and an all-star, where it's like, hey, I could look at your stats and I could look at your play.
Right.
If the two coincide well, yeah, you definitely in that conversation for being that guy.
Okay.
And for a perfect example is, we're seeing this right now with our current finals, where I told people this all the time. That's Siakam's team.
Mm-hmm.
He's showing it right now. Like he averages 1 point. He's the guy where it's like, no, we're down. No, we're going on a run. I'm going to lead us on the run. I'm going to kickstart this. I'm going to get everybody energized. And that Halliburton is the flashy player, where he's making these crazy dynamic plays where it's like, this seems like almost fictional if you're watching it. Like, what? No way he just did that. And it's going in? Oh, wow. But that's kind of like that combination of those two players into one player would be that person you consider the GOAT, where it's like, no, he's slashing, he's dancing, he's shooting, he's stepping back, he's playing lockdown defense. It's everything. He's the game is his and no one else's.
Okay, so 3-level scoring and could play both sides of the ball. Okay, all right. You got anything else for your definition?
I think those three right there would be like the kind of, I think that's a good solid metric, right? And that kind of leads into the other part where, like, as far as I was saying, like, you play who's in front of you, the GOAT player is always going to be, whoever we consider the GOAT now is going to be worse than who people consider the GOAT in the future, right? Because the litmus test and the scales that you're balancing against is always getting heavier and moving, because players are constantly getting better. The game is evolving. Rule changes are different. You know what I mean? So the GOAT conversation is a lot of it. It is very subjective. It is very subjective.
It's subjective, Los. But what's up, Los? Appreciate you tuning in. That's my other guy. Shout out to Pushing Narratives. But yeah, I think it's subjective too. I was just putting this comment up real quick. Los, I'm gonna get to your long comment in a second. For me, go ahead. You got some else?
No, I was gonna say, how would you describe it?
For me, I got championships on there. Winning is very important. I can't call you a GOAT if you've never won. I'm sorry. I got eye test on there too. I do understand what you mean by, if you look at players like, what happens if James Worthy doesn't get hurt, or what happens if Isaiah Thomas had like a certain type of team. I factor that into eye test. So I have that. I have, like you said, 3-level scoring, effective. It doesn't have to be 3-level scoring.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be 3-level, because I know who your GOAT is. So I'm not going to disqualify him from there.
Let's change this.
Let me finish.
Hold on. I was going to say, let's call that 3-level play.
Okay, we could do that too. Can play on both sides of the ball. overall impact on the progression of the league means it's very important when it comes to being a GOAT. You just being a basketball player in the NBA is great. We could tell that you're a great player, but you still need to be able to carry that flag at a high level. It could be for social issues. If it could be just to promote the league. You have to be like an icon for me to be in the GOAT conversation. I got longevity, and that's about it. That's about it. What you got to say about that?
Okay, so I do have some disagreements, but I think that's more that would be us getting lost in the weeds on that. We kind of have the same overall.
No, I still.
No. I'm saying like, as far as longevity, like I agree with that, but defining longevity for certain people doesn't really work because Iverson playing for more than 5 years is crazy considering the amount of surgeries and injuries he's had.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
But then you have people who could be like, "Nah, I only get like 5 minutes a game." So
I think what's the average NBA career though? I mean, you play past the average NBA career. It doesn't have to be a 15, 20-year career. It doesn't have to be that.
You're doing more than let's say you're doing more than 7 years and you're doing, I would say 7 years and you have a high level of play during that time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's what my longevity comes into.
Okay.
All right.
I'll agree with that. So
all right. So now that we got the prerequisites out the way. This is the convo that me and you argue about all the time. So let's just go ahead. Let's go ahead and have it out.
Off bat. We got to segment this into errors, right? Because if we don't do it by errors, it's going to look what overall.
Let me tie it in. Let me tie it in because this is the question everybody's going to want to hear. So let's not make them wait.
All right, Bill Russell, and that's without a doubt. Bill Russell's the NBA GOAT. He is the cornerstone and the foundation that the NBA was built on for the most part. His type of play was like, when people say like, if it's like, oh, you know, he had all these Hall of Fame and All-Star players that played with, none of them were winning anything until he got there. His own teammates say that. He was that guy. They didn't count blocks like that, and he was getting blocks all the time. His rebounds was crazy. Other people who play with him, they call him the ultimate teammate. And his style of play has not gone away from the NBA. Right? It's defensive big man, passing out from the perimeter, playing the inside-out game. Right? You have your shooters around them. You're setting hard picks, good screens. You are the defensive anchor. There's very few NBA champions that we can think of that have led their team and won more than 3. This guy has 8 as that guy. 8. The finals MVP is the Bill Russell Award for a reason. You know what I mean? Everything else is semantics. The guy he played 11 seasons. I'm sorry, he played 13. He was in the NBA for like 13 seasons, got 11 chips. And I get it. You know, it's only so many amount of teams you could play. But it's who you play is in front of you. He was handling Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I mean? And it's, when you look at the stat sheets for a lot of these old guys and stuff like that, like when they take into account, like, okay, well, they didn't have a 3-point line, but we should measure their shots. So when we start measuring where these guys are shooting from, you start finding out, these guys had the same range as Curry, the same range as our modern day shooters. They shot at a better clip. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, they just weren't athletic. They were far more skilled players at that time. Mm-hmm. Whereas now in the NBA, like as the NBA progressed, it became a certain point where it was a highly talent saturated pool. He was the first true talent and skill player. And that's kind of the argument. Like I can't think of anyone saying, okay, ultimate goal is winning championships. He got 11 of them. Explain to me why you're not better. Why this person's better.
But you people would say though, I know you say you play who's in front of you, and that's totally fair. I'm not discrediting that. But people will say as time goes on, the talent of the league gets better. So maybe it's harder for players like Shaq. It's harder for players like Hakeem Olajuwon. It's more tough for them. So maybe you don't feel like the progression of the league should the squad maybe like kind of not disqualify him, but kind of reel us in on maybe if Bill Russell is to go?
Well, again, but that's what I'm saying, where it's like, if we're just talking about, hey, why do you consider this guy to go? Ultimate goal is to win and win a lot. He did that.
True.
Mm-hmm. He led his team doing that. He was the reason why a lot of people were going to see people play basketball, because him and Wilt Chamberlain battling, that was the league. And that was the league for a long time. So again, you got the superstar factor. You play who's in front of you and you cook them, right? You lead your teammates. What else is there? What more do we have to have?
Yeah, you got your leader. You got your winning. You got your playing both sides of the ball.
Right.
I even see your point where you brought up. Thank you for tying that in, because now I understand your James Worthy point and your Isaiah Thomas point, because I don't think blocks were recorded during that time. So he could be averaging a quadruple double, but since they don't count that stat, we may not look at his career the same way.
Right.
My only thing is, what's his offensive numbers look like? Like, does he have offensive game? Because
he was more of, if we're gonna keep it a buck, he was the Tim Duncan type of player where he sacrificed his numbers to get the team numbers. So I genuinely like, and this is just from reading like the annuals of the time period, reading the stat sheets, like actually watching the little footage I could, and as well as just like reading from what his peers were saying, was like, look, he could have gone out and put up 50 a night, but they wouldn't have won the chip. That was Wilt's problem. He was putting up 50 a night. They weren't winning because Wilt comes out the game, the offense is done.
Right.
If Wilt misses, that's it. Wilt's not in position to get the rebound like that. Someone else is there. So now you have to kind of spread load the offense in order to get the good team play facilitated. Like, we've seen that plenty of times in the NBA history where it's like, look, you can have the most talented team, but if you have a skill-based team that's playing together, they're an incredibly hard team to beat. Because you're not beating superstars, you're beating 5 people on the team who are like, look, we don't care who gets the point. We just want to see the numbers go up.
So in saying that, do you feel like when it comes to the GOAT debate, stats could be a little bit overinflated? Like,
oh, yes. All right, I'll give you yes. And this, I had an argument with somebody. I said today, Russell Westbrook to me is not a top 30 point guard of all time.
No, it was me. You said it to me.
No, but like Russell Westbrook averaging a quadruple double, right, over 3 seasons essentially, where it's like, oh yeah, people are like, oh yeah, he had double-digit points, double-digit assists, double-digit rebounds. He also led the league in turnovers. And as a point guard, that is the worst stat to lead in. And he did it well. And he did it exceptionally well all those seasons. So that shows to me individually, like, look, that means a lot of people can go out there and get these triple-doubles, but triple-double play comes with the risk of 10 turnovers every game. So sometimes stats don't look good. And this is not to say Russell Westbrook is a bad player. I think he's a great player, but it's understanding he's not a good point guard. He's a great basketball player. He's a horrible point guard. Horrible point guard. I would not. You have to get the ball in his hands as much as possible.
Right. Which is why a lot of people had questions if he was actually a 1 or a 2 while he was in Oklahoma City, and if they should get a prototypical point guard to kind of calm him down, get him to his spots, because he would rather take his shot than Kevin Durant, and it was a constant issue. So I see why you're saying that, man.
Right. And then, all right, so this is also kind of why I say, like, if we're looking at just overall impact in the league, Bill Russell would never be considered that. Like, as far as the league history, right? He was the backbone, the foundation of the league. But when you go to somebody's house, you're never looking at their foundation. Yeah. That's the truth. Yeah. That's what everybody's built up off of. And so that being said, I kind of understand and get why people would skew to saying, like, well, the GOAT conversation is flawed to a certain degree because you have to give different players their different eras and their different accolades. That being said, though, I want to hear who's your GOAT, because my GOAT's Bill Russell, and I don't think your GOAT's beating my GOAT, just flat out. I want to hear it.
Well, like I said, another thing for me when I chose my GOAT, like you disagree with Loso, and I agree with you that it's subjective. I don't have an issue with you having Bill Russell as your GOAT, and my GOAT can't beat your GOAT because they played in different eras. And my thing is eye test. I respect. Here's the thing. I'm not disqualifying Bill Russell at all because I didn't see him play. It's just my preference that if I'm going to choose the greatest of all time, like you said, stats are inflated. Who they play to me, even though you play who's in front of you, does matter. So my GOAT is Kobe beating Bryant, man.
I get that. And then I see like this is my only thing, right? We'll talk about that later. Go on. Let me hear about Kobe. Let me hear your reasons.
Yeah, Kobe beating Bryant. People will say that he's disqualified because he remixed Michael Jordan. So the hell what? I thought about this point today. Actually, I think Kobe Bryant played in a more competitive era when it comes to the two guard and was able to dominate at that. Even though T-Mac played a three, you still could play 2 or 3 during that time. You had T-Mac, you had Vince Carter, you had Allen Iverson. The list goes on and on and on. Kobe was able to dominate all the way into the time. And then after, even though him and Shaq were a team, it was Kobe closing out them fourth quarters. And winning is a big thing to me. Shaq could barely play in the fourth quarter because he couldn't make free throws. He had 50%, whatever. But to me, Kobe was the driving force of that team after the first 2 rings. I'll give Shaq the first 2 rings because Kobe had to develop because he was young. I give him that. But everything else after that, Kobe got it. People want to talk about the Paul Gasol trade. Paul Gasol was a good to great player to me, but he was nowhere near the dominance of Shaq. And he was able to win in that 2 more in that era too. And able to totally change his game to be back to the basket, basically replicating what Michael Jordan did.
Okay.
But I was looking at his All-Stars, I think he had, what is it? Is it 15 All-Stars, 18-time All-Star? He played 20 years. So the longevity of dominance is there. 15-time All-NBA selection. He played 20 years. He was injured for 3 of them. 2 of them, he was young. So it's like Kobe's prime stretched for about a good 15 to 17 years. And he has 5 chips. And I believe that the competition that was playing against him was a whole lot better than what Jordan had to go against. So that's the reason why I put him above Jordan. You say to that.
I don't. Well, you already know I'm a Knicks fan, so Jordan. Yeah, I agree. But I think Kobe played in a harder time period, not necessarily a harder league. And the reason why I say the harder time period is because he played during where the league was transitioning from the 2 guard to being forward dominant. Mm-hmm. So he had to. It wasn't just the fact that he had to deal with people like Carmelo and stuff like not Carmelo. T-Mac, but he also had to deal with. He had to deal with bigger players like Carmelo, and you had LeBron, and then LeBron. And keep it a buck, head to head, LeBron was cooking that guy. He was cooking him, but we didn't get to see playoff Kobe versus LeBron, and that's what kind of everybody wanted. But then also, and I tell people this: Kobe played where the most craftiest guards ever existed. As far as in his position, right? The craftiest guard didn't exist during his time period. That's still Pistol Pete. But he, by far, like you got Manu Ginobili, arguably who is the best international player to probably play like in the NBA history.
I think so. I think Jokic is starting to kind of. If Jokic wins another ring, he
needs
might
to get
be
an
up there.
He gotta get an Olympic. He gotta get that Olympic gold. You gotta get that Olympic gold. That's
one.
Yeah, and that's kind of, and then you also have like where it wasn't just you had dynamic dynasties being built in the West, which were designed to pretty much go up against Kobe and no one else. Saying like the Suns weren't worried about beating the Spurs; they were worried about beating Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. Like the East, you had teams that were built around beating Jordan, but they were more so beat around trying to build around one player, right? Whereas during his time period, it was like, no. We're building players. We're building teams and grabbing players specifically. Like, remember the grab? I was just about to say the Blazers when they grabbed Ruben Patterson. Kobe stopper, and he got cooked by Kobe for that. I'll never forget that. Who was it? Was it Sean Kemp in his ear? Somebody just whispering that?
Yeah.
I was like, yo, why Sean kept acting African? And then he just got cooked. Right? But then and then you also had the league where it's not so much conspiring against Kobe, but making it clear, like, yo, Kobe, no, we're not gonna let you get some of the best players. We're not gonna let you get this. You're gonna have to get out the mud.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Chris Paul trade. Yep.
Well, no, the Chris Paul trade in particular, that wasn't a bad. I would have vetoed that too. Keep it above.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
You're trying to trade that
over. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to get rid of that team, and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get rid of your star player. There's no respectable business owner is gonna buy that team at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with I don't disagree with you having him as a goal. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, man. It's not crazy, man. It's just the only thing about Kobe that I don't like is I just don't like disqualify. Like most of the people who talk about the GOAT debate automatically disqualify Kobe because he modeled his game after Michael Jordan. That's my biggest issue with how people disqualify Kobe. You can have any other opinions, but that I just can't ride with, to be honest with you.
No. Like I think Kobe did everything Jordan wanted to do and better, besides like winning championships. And that was because keep it a buck. Jordan, well, that goes into the era stuff. All right, so we clearly have GOATs from different eras, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no debate on that.
No, let's look before we go there. Hold on. I'm gonna ask you the question. Shout out Blackout Sports. Got my boy Gino Smith here with me. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Actually, let's read a couple of these comments just in case you got something to say. Loso, a GOAT's supposed to take you there when you give him the ball to bring you there. Kobe did it, MJ did it, and Bron has glimpses of it.
I agree with that, but it's not just so much about you give him the ball. Sometimes it's like keep it a buck. Jordan passing it to Steve Kerr. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily you got to take that shot. You just have to make sure that ball goes into the right person to get that orange ball through the fucking ring and get the points. That's it. You know what I mean? It's, hey, Tim Duncan given, like, he didn't get finals MVP every time he got chipped. But he was willing to, like, nah, hey, Tony, get that. You keep on passing the ball out. You keep on doing that. You do what you're doing. You know what I mean? That, like, I think one of the perfect examples as far as, like, that I remember for something like this is Michael Jordan talking about Luke Longley, where he was like, Luke Longley was having a great first half. He had like 12 points and something like that. He went up to him and congratulated him. Mm-hmm. He finished the game with like 12 points and stuff like that. He was like, yo, never again. I learned immediately, don't do that. If I need him locked in, I can't be telling him stuff like that. Right. But that's kind of comes with the GOAT conversation. It's like, you know your players, you know your team, you have good chemistry. Not so much basketball IQ, it's a lot of it just good chemistry and on-court awareness of your team.
Okay, one more comment. If you're team hopping a la Shaq after Miami, KG after Boston, then your GOAT status got to take a hit because it means you ain't that guy no more. What do you say to that?
Oh, I agree. But I want to say KD team hopped. He got traded from Boston to the Nets. And then I think he left the Nets to go to Minnesota? And retired
KG,
there.
right?
Yeah, KG.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean...
Did he play with Doc? I don't think he played with Doc. I think that was just Paul Pierce, right? And with the Clippers? He didn't play on the Clippers, right?
No, he didn't go to the Clippers. I don't think he went to the Clippers. But, like, you gotta... To me, it's... Yeah, that ring chasing stuff. Like, that's why Barkley never be in consideration for the top power forward of all time.
Because he went to Houston.
Yeah, he chased that ring.
With the stacked roster.
Yeah, he chased that ring. You know what I mean? Same thing, like, Pippen wants to be that guy, but Pippen's also the guy that went to the Rockets, then went to the Blazers, and just couldn't get it done.
KD slander in the chat, man. KD is not a leader from RJ Simmons. He for self.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, there ain't no slander from Kevin. No slander here from me for Kevin Durant here. I'm not going to slander. I get the point though. Like, I never put KD in a GOAT combo anyway. In my opinion, like, just not in my opinion. I don't think he's the GOAT. I think he needs to. Like, GOATs seem to have to be like the focal point of championships. KD hasn't necessarily been that, in my opinion. You could disagree with the Steph Curry thing all you want. I get he was the leader, not the leader, but
the scorer.
the scorer of the team. You know what I'm saying? I get that, but he wasn't the leader of the squad. No,
he was Raphael of the Ninja Turtles. You're not that guy. You could fight, but you're not that guy. But I mean, and back to the point at hand, as far as the singular GOAT, I don't think
it's having a singular GOAT fair. Like, should it be broken down? Go ahead. What's your answer?
I'm gonna go back to what I was saying about the foundation. Like, it's not fair, right? It's flat out not fair, because there's some people who just played at a time before TV broadcasts and stuff like that. Remember, I was showing you the stuff about Pistol Pete, where it's like, yo, I'm telling you right now. All right, well, we're gonna have to back this up, but I think when it comes to the GOAT, you have to break it down by eras or decades, or whatever you want to call it. Like whatever time period, but there has to be multiple time periods because there's multiple styles of play within the league, right? For example, and this to me is a big one that a lot of people don't get now, right? Where it's like, hey, do you think the players now would do better in the 80s or in the 90s? They would cook in the 90s, right? Jordan's era benefited from multiple expansion teams happening that broke up all of the established dynasties and full rosters that were there. The teams lost their whole bench and young core. And now suddenly it's like, hey, we got to rebuild, whereas bad teams kept their teams. So you have Jordan who sounds like, oh yeah, now we have really good picks. We suddenly have a good portion of Detroit's championship roster. We're getting a ring. You know what I mean? That happens. But you telling me now on top of that, whereas now the people playing now, they get double teamed more. They get a lot more double teams, right? They have help defense that comes over. Jordan only had to get past one player. LeBron got to get past two. Kobe got to get past two. Dame Lillard got to get past two. Steph got to get past two. You telling me, and I'm being real, Ron Harper versus Steph Curry. Steph Curry hits that nigga like a sham god or some shit. Hits him with a step back, right? That shot going in, it's over. The first logo 3 that drops twice in a row, they're going to be looking at like, yo, what is this? We can't do this.
See, the only thing is that I agree with the answer of it. I can't really answer that question because you will have to define like the rules and whatever they're playing in order for me to tell you who can accurately guard Steph Curry. Because if it's Ron Harper in the 90s, I don't think Steph even is able to get that shot off.
Hold on, RJ, real quick. I don't think you understand what I mean by double team, and that's okay. What I'm talking about is that there was a help before there was illegal defenses where if you're in the paint, if your person's on the other side of the court, you being defender, you had to be a certain distance from the player you're guarding. So if you try to run like a zone set or something like that, illegal defense. Jordan doesn't have to deal with that. When the person comes to double team Jordan, it's a very different type of defensive scheme that occurs. They're literally peeling off one man, and now that one player is completely free to roam. Whereas now in the modern era, you don't have to necessarily peel off. You can just literally step forward into the paint and then step back. Step forward into the paint and step back. You couldn't do that. You had to actually run to Jordan. That's what I mean by the difference in double team.
Okay, because I definitely remember Jordan getting double teamed. So I was gonna let you get your shit off before I said something. But
hold on, RJ, that was my point as far as about the rules being different. That's what I'm talking about. Like if we're talking Steph Curry now, where if you got somebody on an island, you're not necessarily on an island. You just have to really guard the perimeter and hope your guys behind you will collapse in and give you some help defense. Before you didn't have that. You were alone. The lone defender was the lone defender.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the rule changes because I have them here. They widened the lane in 1964. Threes didn't count until 1980. Defensive 3 seconds didn't show up until 2001. They got rid of hand checking in 2004. And then with the threes with analytics, it's a copycat league. So I put when Golden State won the chip in 2015, it kind of
right. They also league
off what we have now. So.
You got also note 3 major changes, which was the change in the way the carry was considered, right? And you got the 0 step now, as well as you have the hop step gather, which you can now jump for. You don't necessarily have to be going towards the rim to do it. You can do it in any direction You just had to put up a shot or pass it.
Right.
So I think so. Like, this is what I mean by errors, right? Whereas, like, I was showing you some of the videos, as we've been talking about this stuff from before, where it's like you had players back then who were highly skilled. It's just that wasn't fundamental basketball. That wasn't getting you a chip. You can do all the flashy stuff, but you weren't really going to make it. Shooting from half court, while yeah, it was cool to do, those are still the same 2 points if I got layup. The 3-point line obviously did change, and that's what the ABA. But that's, again, why I said before, like, you can't have a GOAT from a single error, because those rule changes dramatically shift how you play and plan the game. For example, Popovich, one of the great things that kind of led to that dynasty run of his was he said, fuck offensive rebounds. We don't get enough of them. So every time now, instead of going for the offensive rebounds, we get everybody back in transition. Right. And it's because he looked at the analytics, saw his success rate. He's like, yo, look, we get these like 30% of the time. That doesn't justify us now losing the transition battle. So it's things like that you really don't really account for. But once you start seeing it, suddenly it's like, oh, well, now the league is suddenly different. Right. And those type of plays and those type of coaches and players really shift how that GOAT argument goes, because and I'll be real, if they didn't do that, I honestly believe that Cleveland Cavaliers team they weren't getting swept in the finals. Right, because now you don't have 4 players in the backcourt when LeBron's running running down. You have maybe 1 or 2, and those are like Ginobili. Like who was their small forward? Bruce Bowen, I think, at the time, or was it Michael Finley?
Yeah, both of them were there.
Right, and then you have like Tony Parker, Ginobili. They're not keeping up. They're not stopping LeBron from going there.
Mm-hmm.
But now, when you suddenly have 4 people anchored in position, yeah, that fast break isn't that fast.
Right. So if you want to define it by errors, then let's go ahead and run through them.
All right. So go ahead. You go.
All right. No, for your class. So what errors do you have? So for the first error, you have
got the classic error, right? And I got that, of course, my man Bill Russell. You gotta go down. He was the league at the time.
Okay. Explain a little bit why. Classic error.
So classic error, that's like to the 50s to the mid 60s, right? And he's the guy. You had statistical championship dominance. You had the respect of his peers. You had the second best player, him actually beating him and not even just dominating him, but mentally beating him. So like Wilt Chamberlain having a great game. He's telling Wilt Chamberlain in the second quarter, you score too much, your team is going to lose.
Right.
Busting Wilt Chamberlain's ass and then coming up to him while he's like, yo, I feel like you quit on me. You need to be playing. Why you on the bench? You still in the game. Why you on the bench? Stuff like that. Right. That's next level, where it's like, I want my competition to be better.
Right. And I agree. So, I just looked at his championships, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. I just looked at his championships. He won a championship every year for like 11 straight years. There's no and you had Wilt Chamberlain there. Like it was you and Wilt.
Right.
So you could talk about what Bill Walton was around. Wasn't he around a little bit? Bill Walton was around during that time, but he got hurt early. So it doesn't really count towards there. So I agree with Bill Russell. So for your 70s though, because you have a trifecta,
right?
Do you
so
have?
There's 3. I got Pistol Pete and Kareem. Right, Kareem.
Talk about the Pistol Pete thing real quick though. That's interesting.
So like people don't really understand, right? And it's not until you really see some of the stuff he's doing. Like his passes were phenomenal, shooting clip insane. Like he had all of the package. Like if he's playing now, and I'll be real, in this current league, like the way people talk about Jordan, like, oh, Jordan would put 50 points. He would put up 50 points and probably he probably won't go past like the free throw line. Like Pete had that shot. He had range. He could dribble. Like I've shown you stuff that he's doing. And like when you see some of his fundamentals, it's like, yo, this guy If they were giving him the green light to play street ball like how dudes are doing now, he's cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And he was shooting deep threes, deep shots before the three. His passing game was Magic Johnson before Magic Johnson. He had all the no looks. Like, I get why people say Kyrie is like the most skilled player in the NBA that they've ever heard of, and it's like, yeah, because you guys don't look at old tapes, and that's the truth. Half the players you've heard of right now grew up watching Pete's dribble drills, watching his shooting drills, because his mechanics were that sound, and they're still sound to this day.
Yeah, I think I hear a lot of players talk about Pistol Pete. I heard Magic Johnson talk about Pistol Pete the other day. Kyrie gave credit to Pistol Pete. Gilbert Arenas was on First Take talking about how great Pistol Pete was. So it's another name out here. So get to your next name. You got who else?
I got another person from the NBA side. I got none other than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know, because you can't talk about the best career in all of basketball without mentioning Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's had the college success, high school success, NBA career success. There's nobody better. There's nobody who can say their career is as complete as his. He he had the most points ever for a long period of time. While he held that record stood for like 30 years. This is level of dominance. A most unblockable shot, multiple championships, rookie of the year. I think he got rookie of the year and finals MVP, and his NBA championship all in 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And another thing about Kareem, man, a lot of people just try to like put him in a skyhook box.
Nah, it wasn't just a skyhook.
Kareem was nice. Pull up middies. Post game looked like I think that's where Hakeem got it from, in my opinion. Like I watched a lot of Kareem tape today. I was really shocked by what I saw. Kareem was really like that.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is what I was saying, where it's like you play the competition in front of you. All of the players against them were skilled players. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, okay. It's like, no, these guys know how to get me off the block, and they know how to get me off the block with proper movements. These guys were a lot dirtier than as far as current players, where it's like, no, I'm willing to jab you with my hand. Mm-hmm. That hand check isn't just a hand check. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And what's your next person?
My next person, and because of the ABA split, you got to put Dr. J. Dr. J was probably Dr. J. It's Dr. J. You know what I mean? It's Dr. J. Yeah, Dr. J. You can't. I'm sorry. Like Dr. J. Like, it's kind of hard to describe how nasty this guy was, because so much of the stuff he's doing now is what every talent player is doing. But he was doing this before talent players even heard of this. Like, this wasn't something like, it was like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, wait, I can do that mid-air. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, Dr. J was definitely one of the ones, man. That's why he, when it came to my GOATs, my classic era, I agree with you. But when it comes to my GOATs, I had 70. I put Julius Erving, bro. I had to. You was in a whole nother league. You were dominant in a whole nother league. Came to another league. Was dominant there. Won a chip. And everybody copied your game Skywalker wise. Like everybody. Yeah. Like Julius Erving was the guy in the 70s to me. I wanted to pick Kareem actually. But there was like a long drought where he didn't win a championship. So I'll lead into the 80s.
Of course. And now the 80s.
My 80s.
I want to hear your 80s first. I want to hear. Oh, okay. You got Kareem.
My 80s is Kareem. What are you talking about?
Okay. I see. I'm not disagreeing with that. That's fine.
My 80s is Kareem, man. I had to do it. I wanted to put him in the 70s, but I couldn't do it. Most unstoppable move in history. The point scored, won 5 chips in a decade, and has the best career ever. The 80s belong to Kareem to me. So you say to that what?
I disagree. I agree with you as far as the dominance, but he had to share his spotlight on his team. And I think the GOAT for that time period, none other than Larry fucking legend, Larry Bird. And it's...
Hold on. Oh, whoa. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
For the 80s.
No, yeah, for the 80s, yeah. Yeah, you're like, no, my bad. That's the wrong one. But yeah, Bird had help. Did he not?
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying they're two GOAT superstar players at their time period, right? Two great superstar players playing on the Lakers. There's only one playing on the Celtics, and that's Larry Bird. Larry Bird in the 80s was the threat. Like, everyone in the East feared him, flat out.
28, Bird with the steal behind Bird with the.
Like, Larry Bird's passing game was fire. His shooting was fire. He had the best awareness. He, like, the warm-up free throw, the warm-up 3-point contest. You can't beat that. Can't beat that.
What's
you know what I mean?
Going to be a long night.
Who's coming in second? Like, you just not even take off the jacket. Like, come on, right? And this is, but again, this is also why, like I say, where it's like when you look at some of these players, it's like, oh, well, these guys now could do something different. You know, these guys would just be shooting threes over them all day. It's like, yeah, because they're allowed to. If Larry Bird was allowed to, like, hey, Larry, you can jack up.
You shoot threes than twos, so it's a totally different game.
Right. If you say, hey, Larry, you can shoot 23s a game, Larry's going to hit 19 of those. You have every known scorer, shooter for that time period and after saying, like, look, if the shot's on the line, if my life is on line, I want Larry Bird shooting. Prime Larry Bird. He don't fucking miss. He don't miss. Every fucking shooter, like, and the thing is, Larry Bird was just such a dynamic player before his back got injured, and he wasn't a skill-based player. Well, he wasn't a talent-based player. He was definitely skilled. And not to say he wasn't talented. It's just he was that skilled. His bag was deep. He handles, could pass, pump fake, pass fake. He could drive. He played defense. Total package. Now you got people like Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who I think have a strong contention for saying, like, no, I'm the GOAT of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
I don't think it's a landslide in the ladies though. Like, I think
that's what I was going to say. The same thing.
You could have, like, there's like a Mount Rushmore in the 80s to me. Like, you have Larry Bird, you have Magic Johnson, you have Kareem. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not mad at the Larry Bird thing. I'm not.
Like, the only player I could say you can't have as your GOAT in the 80s is Isaiah Thomas.
Why can't you have Isaiah Thomas as your GOAT in the 80s?
Because I'll be real,
Isaiah only the only undersized guard under 6'2" to win the championship.
Yeah, but he did. That was the second season when he led them. The first season was someone else who was leading them, and while he was a good. Again, it's more like, would you consider Chauncey Billups that guy for Detroit?
During when? The championship run?
Yeah, when they were doing the championship run. Would you consider him one of the best point guards in the league? Would you consider him the GOAT of that era? No. It's not like he wasn't good. He wasn't great. He wasn't
a big difference, though. That's a wide gap.
Well, again, Chauncey Billups got a ring over LeBron. Not LeBron. He got a ring over LeBron.
He got a ring over LeBron. Got a ring over Kobe.
Kobe. Right. And it's you played killer teams. You fought for your championship. It's not like you were bad, and he had multiple finals appearances. So it's not like he was a bad player. But I'm saying, like, look, they were greater players than you. You were great, but these guys were a tier higher. Right? Isaiah Thomas has that dog in him, without a doubt. But he wasn't, and it's not to say that he wasn't good and he wasn't great. It's just these guys were that much better. You know what I mean? Hey, he's going to beat them. He's going to beat them, like, 6 times out of, he's going to lose them 6 times out of 10. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the point. He's going to win 4 games, but he's going to lose 6 games to get those 4 games.
Right.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to the 90s. I want you to go first because, I know how you feel about Jordan. So
yes,
Jordan.
I want you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. This again, play who's in front of you kind of thing, where it's like he benefited from such a watered down league. I want to put an asterisk in front of it, but I can't because he was so complete with his wins. And that's the truth. You win, you win. The East was significantly harder. A lot of people admitted the Eastern Conference Finals were a better series to watch than the finals, just because those teams were those were dog games. Those were game 7s. He was fighting and struggling to get through those. Whereas the finals, by the time he hit the finals, it was like, nah, these guys don't want as much as these guys on the East did. Right. And then also, again, the team compositions and stuff like that. And I think, again, it's who's in front of you. Olajuwon being there and not being able to play Jordan in the finals, I think, is the biggest what if series that we've really missed. That was a travesty. And I think that's the biggest thing that. Hold on. All right. RJ, you said the league's wasn't watered down that time. I'm just gonna break this down for you. They had, from when Jordan came in, they had about 4 teams that expanded into the league. Each time there's an expansion, there's an extra draft component that pretty much breaks up down to a whole bunch of dynasties. If that happens enough times rapidly, your league composition is gonna be watered down. Jerry Sloan, I said this, right? When the Bulls were on their 72-10 run. Right. Jordan's admitted this. Pippen's admitted this. Rodman's admitted this. So this is a moot point. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's Jordan. I mean, it's obvious to me. I don't see a debate here. Is there anybody that you could debate was a goal to the 90s that you could say against Jordan?
Hell no.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure.
They're great players, but he did too much too well.
All right. For the 2000s, I got Bean. I'm sorry. I
got him on mine 1 too.
I got Bean, bro. I'm sorry.
I got it tied though. I got him tied up.
I'm sorry. I got Bean for the 2000s, man. You could try to penalize him for the years after Shaq left and things got a little bit shaky, but it to me it's just different when you bounce back and you do it yourself, bro. That's still that's 4 titles in the 2000s, right? Because he won in 99, 2000, and 2001, correct? Yeah, so that's 4 chips.
Yeah, I think it like this, and I'll be real. I think Kobe Bryant has probably one of the most complete cases for saying he dominated his era, because he did a lot with crappy teams in comparison, but he also did some sophomoric stuff to like piss off it, like the no shooting during the playoff run. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, he had some bad moments. I ain't going.
Right.
But it was squeaky clean. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, but he again, dominance is dominance, and he was that. And it was also that work ethic. But I got Tim Duncan up there. Tim Duncan gotta go up there if you're putting Kobe up there, in my opinion. Right. Okay. And there's no reason why you can't tell me fundamental wasn't that guy. He had the footwork, the scoring, he had the passing, he had the most important thing was he had that leadership quality with his team, where it was like, look, we're playing to win. That's it.
Right.
And there was no point somebody saying, oh yeah, the ball's in Tim Duncan's hands at the end of the game. Are they gonna? It's like, no, we know he can score. We know he can do it. So I think he, again, great player, and I think him and Kobe tie as a talent as the GOATs for that era.
I could see 2000s. I could see the 1A, 1B, because if it wasn't Kobe winning, most likely it was Tim Duncan. So I could see that. I agree too. And for the 2010s, who you got?
For the 2010s, of course, LeBron. I don't think you have 10 finals appearances and say like this guy's not the most dominant player. He's not the greatest player of that era. Period. He got that Cleveland ring was nasty. You know what I mean? The Miami, none of the rings in Miami was as good as that Cleveland ring, to be honest.
Oh no. The first ring against, even though Ray Allen hit the shot, the first ring
wasn't against the first ring wasn't that against OKC? Or was that the second ring?
Correct. The second ring was against the San Antonio Spurs, because the San Antonio Spurs went back to the finals the next year.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
OKC was too young for me to care about that first one. Like, it was nice to see LeBron get one because he was facing a lot of criticism at the time, and plus, the meltdown the year before and all that. So it was good for him to get one. But
I wouldn't say it's a meltdown the year before, but that's what I was talking about. Where it's like you're meeting a better coach,
Rick Carlisle. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're meeting, and we've seen Rick Carlisle do it repeatedly. Where it's like, look, I can outcoach somebody.
No, see, that's why I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think it was a meltdown. I still think it was a meltdown mentally. It's just even though they say that LeBron's like not that type of player, like we've seen him. Maybe if you want to call it a maturation process, I guess I'm okay with that. But I thought it was a meltdown because he was nowhere to be found in the fourth quarter. That whole shit. There was times he didn't want the ball. It wasn't like he was playing the right basketball. There's a difference in playing the right basketball and you not getting your shot and you just not wanting the moment. And I felt like LeBron didn't want the moment in those rounds.
I think more so that was Popovich, not Popovich. With the as far as with the Mavericks. I think like there's been a repeated time where what people do is they isolate and make LeBron work the first 3 quarters. And the fourth quarter, he is physically drained. And what people expect is like, hey, can you do this now at the end of the season when everyone's dog tired? And it's like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to spend $1 million on my body a year. And when it's happening where it's like, yo, we've watched LeBron play deep into the fourth quarter repeatedly and lose now. I think that criticism as far as him saying like mentally he was drained is like, no. I think there was a key physical component, and now he learned about it.
Yeah.
But, that's why I think like a lot of people would like to say that it's Curry. Curry took over the time for LeBron, and it's like he hasn't had this time yet, to be honest, but he will. And I think Steph Curry.
I was actually going to ask you if you feel like LeBron's era has carried over into
the modern era.
The modern era. And he's still that guy. Like he's still that GOAT of that era too.
I think he's not the GOAT the 20s. I think we got Steph Curry, and we're gonna have to. Steph Curry's gonna have to get more chips because the 20s. I think the 2020s has been just filled with multiple teams winning championships versus a consistent set of dynasties. So the dynastic type of organizational basketball that no longer exists, right? And but again, this is going into more of like rule changes and composition, which shifts how the league is actually played and perceived, which is a part of the Players Association itself and the owners collectively working together to achieve these things. Because I think as a league, they don't want a single face of the NBA anymore. They want players they can swap out every 2 years. So they're doing their hardest to make sure that's something that happens. Because while it's good to have stability, it's even better when you can say, like, hey, no, we don't have to have this guy that makes all this money all this time. We can switch it about. So we can take these low market teams and suddenly make them valuable. Because OKC and Indiana probably sold the most amount of merchandise they've ever sold.
Yeah, they're on a national stage for sure.
Look at the league. Every team that's been in the finals for the last 6 years. What is this, 2025? So let's say last 5 years. You're gonna start noticing there's a lot of small market teams up here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the goal of the NBA. They wanted that where it's like the talent pool is now spread more evenly. Before it was.
I think that's separate. I think that's separate for them wanting the face of the league, though. I don't think that's something that they don't want. Like, I disagree with that. I think they want a face. They just don't have that. Like, it's easy to say they don't want a face if you just don't have that. They don't have anybody like that right now. That has to develop.
That's a different conversation. We'll agree to disagree. But I think the GOAT conversation going for the 2020s is going to be one of the most interesting conversations because for the first 5 years, essentially, right, you have LeBron still not in his prime, but just beginning to come out of his prime and still dominating. You have Steph Curry, who's come back and shown like, yo, if you sleep on me, I will take you out. And now we also have the NBA Cup, which now shifts. That's a new stat to add to the mix. Now you got Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals, and it's the way players are playing now changes because it's like, hey, we might really want to get this Players Cup. This might be something that's more attainable for our caliber of team, and we can make this every year. We can suddenly be like, well, you guys aren't that good. Well, we've won 10 of these. Well, you guys haven't won the finals, true, but we've won these, and you haven't won the finals, and you haven't won these.
Yeah.
And so, Lakers getting that first one definitely. But you get the idea. right? Because the players aren't playing like it's not something. We're getting playoff basketball in the middle of the year, which is really good.
Well, they pay them, so.
Right, and they get paid no matter what. So that's to me, that's mind-boggling. You tell me,
but
that's a different story.
It's not mind-boggling because the role players don't get paid as much as the stars. I think they want to do that more for the role players. Like that's why I feel like teams that seem to make it deep in the playoffs seem to be the ones to win it. If you notice the comparison, because it seems like more complete teams win that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's more for the role players. I'm not saying that the payment means anything to the stars. I'm not saying that. But for the role players, I think it means a lot. So that's why we see better basketball when we do have the NBA Cup. It's because now role players have more want to play and want to play harder and stuff like that, including the stars too. So that's the benefit.
Yeah, I definitely understand that part of it. But again, I think from an organizational level, it's all right. Just hear me out. I'm trying to set up the NBA for the next 2 seasons, right? Hey, we got somebody who just showed out in the NBA Cup. You know, these are kind of one of those things where it's like you can build a face off that. But again, let's pin cushion that because that's definitely another conversation I really want to get into with you, and I think that's going to shift from the GOAT conversation.
All right, but. Well, sure. Gino, I appreciate you having here. We do this thing. Positive word.
The positive word for today is fuck. Yeah, fuck. That's a positive word. Use it in a good sentence.
That's not very positive, Gino.
Okay, all right. So I'll be serious. I'll give something positive. For anybody who's lost someone that you really, or you're facing someone that you lost. One of the most powerful things you can understand and acknowledge that will help you and recognize and move forward with your life is that grief is love recognized. No matter how sad you feel about losing someone or the prospect of losing someone you love, that feeling means that you truly love them and that you love them. So don't look back on negative memories or negative moments when you think of that person. Think of only the positive and the happy.
That was a good positive word. You know, see, why you?
Was
that you in school? You were productive when you tried. Like, was that?
What's next? You gonna ask for a haiku from me, bro?
No, I just wanted a positive word. That's what we do on Blackout Sports. And like, comment and subscribe. You know what I'm saying?
You got your positive word.
Man, now my positive word, man, is just believe in yourself, man. Don't give up. I'm gonna give y'all a quick story. I almost gave up on all of this a couple weeks ago.
Yo, I'm glad you're saying this now because you know what cursed you out.
I almost gave up on this a couple weeks ago, man. I'm a God-fearing man. I had a conversation with God, like, hey, yo, man, something needs to change. Got an email in my inbox, an amazing opportunity a couple days later when I wasn't expecting it. Interviewed for that. I ain't gonna tell y'all what it is though yet, but interviewed for that. A week later, I'm giving up again.
Nah, bro.
Hey, I haven't heard from them, man. I haven't heard from them. I don't think it's gonna work out. I wasn't gonna give up totally, but I just kind of gave up on that opportunity. Like, they're not gonna call me, but I'm cool. I could put in the work. I'm fine with it. The minute I said that, the next day I looked at my phone, checked my spam folder. An invite was in there. So I'll just say, man, that's my positive word, man. Just keep going. Don't give up. You never know what's on the other side of that door, man. I know I said that last week, but I lived that this week, yo.
Like, I'm glad you're telling me this on stream, and so that's why I can't react the way I normally would.
Yeah. It wasn't a message for you. It was a message for the people. Okay, it wasn't a message for you. I had to inspire the people out there, man. But hey, man, Gino, it was a pleasure having you on, bro. You know what I'm saying? You my guy. Play some music on the way out. My boy, we'll be back, man. I'll have Gino on a couple times a month. I know this conversation was a little long. We'll get more into it on our next episode, talking about GOATs. I'm pretty sure we'll have something else there. Gino, you want to shout anything out while you're here?
Shout out to Blackout Sports. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate this. And, behind the scenes, I always tell you, you got nothing but love on this side. I look forward to all your successes. But on screen, I'm gonna tell you, bro, you gotta keep it up. Consistency and success. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, and that's what I plan to do. Make sure y'all like, follow, subscribe. Blackout Sports. Shout out to Pushing Narrative. Shout out to Conversations at the Shop. Shout out to 3&T. And shout out to Roundtable Sports. I'll see y'all soon.
Oh, wait.
Let's get
one
it.
more shout out to OE Wrestling.
Salute my boy Fast. Shout out to him. There's something popping with Fast, and that's the reason why I didn't shout it out. Because I might have a little news, a little Malik cooking a little something up. So shout out to Fast, man. I'm going to see you soon, too. We out of here. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Blackout Sports. Let's get it.
Hey, this is Chance Wilson, a reporter for Blackout Sports.
All right, man.
What's going on, y'all? It's Carolina's favorite fat boy, DJ Danny Ocean. 101.9 Kiss FM, URL TV, that TV, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's the homie Los from the Get Your Bars On podcast, the Narrative God, and also from Pushing Narrative.
Yo, peace and blessings as always to the people. It's Adrian from Suplex Dinner Club.
What's up, everybody? It's Frank Carter here from Enforcers Pro Wrestling, Enforcers DJJ, and Dirt Sheet Radio.
What's the deal, everybody? I'm DeMarjay Morris from MLBBro.com.
What's up, boy? This your boy Gerard, Conversations at the Shop.
Hey, this is John Escudero from Dirt Sheet Radio.
What's up, man? This your boy, Mr. M from Conversations at the Shop.
Hey, this is CJ Carter from the Dirt Sheet Radio Rewind shows.
What is up? This is Nick LaRocco here representing Dirt Sheet Radio.
Hey, friends, it's the Red Ruben.
You know when I need my sports updates, I gotta tune in to the bro, Malik.
You know we watching Blackout Sports for all your hottest ladies sports updates, man.
And when you need your sports update, you know where to go because you already here.
When I'm not acting like a mark on the internet or walking my dog in the rain, I'm watching Blackout Sports.
Shout out to bro Malik, man.
Get with the times. Your favorite sportscaster, Matthew Malik Wilson.
And you already know we're rocking with Blackout Sports with Malik. Shout out to him. Shout out to the pod family. And as always, go Dogs.
And now you are watching Blackout Sports.
Blackout Sports, what's poppin', man? Tune in.
And you're watching Blackout Sports.
You tuned in to my man Malik Wilson right here on Blackout Sports.
And you're watching Blackout Sports.
And you are watching Blackout Sports.
Y'all go check it out.
Tap in with your boy.
And you're watching Blackout Sports.
And right now you are tuned in to Blackout Sports.
You're watching Blackout Sports.